By the way, I was joking with my son about using his profile to demo this, and he gave me the look of death. He's like, "I will kill you." So I'm like, all right, just use mine. So I want you to imagine that wherever you're from, maybe you're here locally in New York, maybe you traveled. It's a long week. You're at home on Friday night. You curl up on the couch, maybe by yourself, maybe with a loved one, and you want to watch a movie. So you come to Netflix. Why not? Netflix is super popular. Hundreds of millions of people use Netflix. And you want to watch a movie with big, scary monsters, in New York or something like that. And oh shucks, you get this, right? And I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking this is super unfair. Don't ask natural language queries. Break it down into keywords. We all know how to hack Web 2.0 software to sort of get the results that we want. But the problem is that the world is changing, right? This ChatGPT thing, which is also used by hundreds of millions of people around the world, has forever changed the expectations of how software works. It's already happened to my kids. I mean, it's happened to both my kids, who are teenagers. It's happened to my mother, who's in her 70s, right? So there isn't anyone on the age spectrum that hasn't been touched by AI and having it reformat their ideas about what to expect from software. And if you are, can you please raise your hand if you are a developer and you write code? Great. Okay. So this is impacting all of us. We have to think differently about how we build things. So then the question becomes, oh man, okay, wow, Carter just told me that all of a sudden my apps have to be super smart and intelligent. I'm just a full stack web dev. What am I supposed to do about this? Well, it was actually pretty funny. I think Amanda was just up here and she accidentally talked about RAG++, changing the paradigm for developers. I'm really glad that the brand of this event is infecting people's brains. But yeah, look, if you're a developer and you don't know how to build or train your own models, you can use RAG. RAG is an excellent technique for building a very, very large class of intelligent applications with more or less off-the-shelf resources. And it's getting better and better and better. And I think Chet is exactly right. I loved it. We're not serving the needs of RAG. We're serving the needs of developers. Today RAG is a fantastic tool that's useful for tons of use cases. We'll continue to improve RAG, and then someday RAG will be, superseded by something better. But it's what we have right now. So what I want to build is, I want to build Movies++. This is a website called the MovieDB. I want to take information from this resource, and I want to build my own better Netflix experience. And I want to show you how I'm going to do that. So right now, this is a Python script. It's a Python script. It's not more than, 63 lines of code. In this Python script, I'm going to break it down really quick. Actually, I'm going to start running it, just to sort of give a sense of what it does. So this script is going to scrape these web pages and load them into my vector database. So let me talk about exactly what's happening. So all of these imports, the most important ones are importing the data API client, which is how we talk to AstraDB, which is DataStax's vector database. And then we're using Unstructured's open source URL loader library. I'm going to go ahead and just kill this script. So what are we doing? We're going to open up a JSON file that has a list of all the URLs that we want to scrape. We're going to initialize our access to AstraDB, and we're going to loop through this JSON file, scraping all of these movie web pages and loading them into my database. We're going to use Unstructured what Unstructured is really good at. It's really great at taking this unstructured data. It could be a web page or a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet, and teasing out the parts of the document that are relevant. So in this case, I'm looking for anything that is narrative text, and that's what I'm using to sort of load into my database. And then I want to go ahead and show you the result of that. So this is AstraDB. This is the portal for AstraDB. I'm going to go ahead and click over to RAG++ NYC. That's the database I created for this demo. I'm going to click into the Data Explorer, and presto. We have, 976 records, And we can look at these records. It's all basically just JSON data that's been loaded into the database. And one thing I wanted to point out that's interesting is right here, there's a column or a property called vector. And this is this is a very long array of floating point values. This is sort of the machine, the mathematical language that LLMs understand and that they use to embed meaning. And you might wonder where this list of numbers came from, because if I go back to my code, right here is where I'm making the insert into my database. And if you've ever built a RAG application before, it's often a two-step process. You know, you have to have OpenAI or some other LLM, some other embedding service where you take the text that you want to compute the embedding for, you compute the embedding, and then you take that embedding and you insert it into your database. And you'll notice right here, like I'm not doing that at all. What I am doing is I'm specifying right here, I'm specifying this vectorize property, and I'm giving it the content that I want to be computed into an embedding. And the reason that this is possible is because of a feature of AstraDB called Vectorize. So you can see right here, this collection called movies, I have configured it to use a provider, in this case, Nvidia, and I've configured it to use a model called Nvidia-Embed-QA. So as a developer, all I need to do is ingest data into this collection, and the database itself is going to compute the embedding and store it for me. So it's like super convenient. So now that I have all of the data that I want ingested into the database, I want to build the app, right? Because I promised you I was going to build an app, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to switch over to LangFlow. So LangFlow is our AI application tool, right? It's what developers can use to quickly build AI applications. And you can see I'm going to start from scratch. There are a bunch of templates. You can start with a blank, the equivalent of a blank file. But we have a bunch of templates that you can use to get started quickly. For the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and use this template called Vector Store Rag. I'm going to stay in this zoomed out state. So this bottom area right here, this is just an ingestion flow. Now we've already ingested the data, so I'm going to ignore it. And instead, I'm going to zoom in to the part of the app that is actually the interactive part of the app, right? This is what we're going to work with. This chat input component, just imagine that to be the search input on this Movies++ experience that I'm building. Great, so the user's going to enter a query, right? Like big scary monsters. We're then going to want to use that query to search our AstraDB vector database. But before we can do that, vector search requires a vector. Now, the template came preloaded with OpenAI. I'm not using OpenAI for embedding computation. I'm using Nvidia. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and I'm going to add Vectorize. Remember, we used Astra Vectorize to do this. And I'm going to specify that I'm using Nvidia. I'm going to paste in my model, and I'm going to wire this model up to my vector search. Okay, great. So right here, this is the component that we're using to search AstraDB. So let's go ahead and select the database, which is RAG++ New York City. Let's go ahead and select. Now, as soon as I select that database, this collection dropdown is going to repopulate with only the collections from that database. So here we go with movies. I'm going to select my AstraDB application token. Once again, as soon as I select the database, it automatically generates a token, an application token that I can use to authenticate this request. So this is really, really easy, very low friction. I want to also stress, I know that this is looking to many of you like kind of a cool, no-code, low-code, I don't know, Zapier-esque thing. I want to assure you that this is a tool for developers. Behind the scenes, it's all Python code. And this is Python code that you can edit. So you have the full power of the Python ecosystem with a really beautiful and easy to use UI layered on top of it. One of the things I'm going to do, and it's fully customizable, it normally defaults to returning 10 documents. I'm going to ask it to return 10. There we go. And I'm gonna move, so once we get all of, so we're gonna do, I'm gonna enter this query. The query is gonna get converted into a vector. We're gonna use that to search for all of the relevant documents. Imagine that I had a movie database of 1 million movies, right? Someone asked a question about context windows. Just imagine I'm searching a database that cannot fit into a context window. So we're gonna get the 10 most relevant documents back. We're then going to inject this context into the prompt. So I'm going to take this default prompt. I'm just going to edit it just a little bit. Let's see, given the list of movies and descriptions above, return a list of movies in Markdown format that match this criteria, colon, and then I've got this variable called question that I'm going to put there. Awesome. So I've now done some prompt engineering in order to get back a better output for the app that I want to build. So I'm going to go ahead and save that over here. We're almost done. This is preset to GPT-4o. Because we're using RAG, like I can use a cheaper, dumber model for what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to switch down to GPT 3.5. I'm going to wire this up to my OpenAI key, and I'm effectively done. So LangFlow comes pre-built with a playground, which as a developer just lets you test your flows to see how they perform. So why don't I go ahead and test this? Big, scary monsters. I'm going to enter, we're going to wait, and I'm going to pray and demo gods, cross my fingers. There we go, awesome. So we get some results back. So the app is working. I'm very happy about this. Why don't we, let's see, I'm going to tweak it. I'm going to tweak it just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and ask for more movies back. Let's see, because I want more than 3 results. So how about we try get 20 documents back. Let's see. 20 documents, awesome. And I can go ahead and rerun the exact same query and see if we can get just a few more documents back. All right, there we go. Okay, cool, The Meg, oh, that's a good movie. Okay, awesome. So now we've effectively built an AI application. Now the challenge is this is not an app, right? This is just something that I've built in my IDE. I've tested it. I'm happy with it. I've fiddled with the temperature. I've done all these things. How do we turn this into an app? So I'm going to go ahead and flip over to Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to fire up an app. So I built this app. Me and my team on the DevRel team, we built this app. This is built using Next.js and Vercel's AI SDK. This app is effectively less than 200 complete lines of code. It is absolutely amazing what you can build with the tools that are available today. I'm going to go ahead and run this, and it's going to spin up a local server. Oh, actually, before I do that, I'm going to go back here. So this app is running in the cloud. It's being hosted by DataStax. When you get to the point that you've completed your app and you actually want to ship something, you can go down here to the API section, and LangFlow is not just an editor that you can use to build these AI applications and these flows. It's also a live running API server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this URL, and I'm going to store that in my environment. There we go. I'm going to save it, and now I'm going to run my code. So now I've got this local Next.js application wired up to my LangFlow API server in the cloud. And let's go ahead and open up the app, and boom. So now we have Movies++. Once again, like if you're not a front-end developer, don't worry about it. You can work with one. We have an amazing designer at DataStax who built this design, talented front-end engineer who wrote those 200 lines of code. So let's go ahead and test this, right? Movies that feature large monsters. All right? So it's thinking, right? It's asking LangFlow. Great, awesome. And we get some results from LangFlow. So not bad, right? But you're still thinking to yourself, I know you are. You're thinking, Carter, you've just built, this is not better Netflix. You've just built a chatbot, right? Like, this is not really what people want to use. And I completely agree with you. Thankfully, there are new techniques coming out that are sort of being bundled under the term generative UI, right? And what does that mean? Like, what could you build using generative UI techniques, using things like the Vercel AI SDK? Well, let me see. What if I say, show me this as UI? Wow, look at that. And this is a completely interactive UI, right? I can hover over all of these options. I can click on the Meg. It'll take me to this page. Like, now we're stepping so much closer to a real UI and a real experience that people would want to use and get it excited about. And then it just, like, the minute you see something like this, you kind of can't unsee it, right? And you start to wonder, like, what else can I do? Like, what does the future of generative UI look like? What does the future of intelligent software and applications look like? What if, like, wow, can I see the trailer for the Meg? I don't know, can I? Holy crap. It's literally just playing the trailer for the Meg, right? That is wild. So, I mean, I hope you're starting to realize, like, that the possibilities of what you can do with AI, the possibilities of what you can do with RAG, the possibilities of, like, what you can build with the generative UI are completely unlimited. It's just a function of rolling up your sleeves and, like, writing some code. So that's pretty much it. Once again, like, I honestly believe that, it's funny, I was at the OpenAI community meetup last night, and I saw some amazing demos from the folks at OpenAI that I'm not even allowed to talk about. They took away our phones, like, it was a very secure event. But I am allowed to share this. One of the things that they said over and over again, these are people who work at OpenAI, right? They are not trying to figure out how to get more money from developers or from individual developers or from more companies. They're trying to figure out how to get more people building and how to get more apps built. And they are working from an engineering perspective. They're spending tremendous energy collapsing and smashing down the cost of certain models. Because I promise you, 95% of the people in this room do not need the biggest and most expensive models that are out there. For most of the use cases and most of the things that are really interesting, you're going to have a huge impact on the world. Off-the-shelf stuff that isn't too expensive is going to make a big difference. So we just need more people building. Anyway, thank you so much for coming to my demo. Thank you so much.